Right now, right now. 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 Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We gotta add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been getting bigger. Hey guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your weekdaily morning show where we bring you the latest in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, technical, on-chain, and fundamental analysis. And in today's episode, we are going to be looking at the market of Bitcoin right now because, as you guys know, we've been following it all week. Bitcoin has been trading sideways straight towards a cliff. And if Bitcoin does not manage to get its act together and start going through a rally, then Bitcoin is going to have a very difficult time managing to stay around these levels. This is an unstable zone that Bitcoin finds itself in right now, and if Bitcoin cannot get the impetus, the bullishness, the movement that it needs to move to the upside and break at least $24,000 to $24,500, then in just a couple of days, a few things might be coming to pass that will make things very difficult for Bitcoin to maintain and rally above its current levels. We are back in studio today. My son is feeling a little bit better, but he is starting to learn. For any of you guys who don't know, I have a 2.5-year-old. He'll be 2.5 in about a month and a half. And he's starting to learn what medicine is. And he's also starting to learn that medicine is yucky. What is it? What's that? Black. Are you sure, sweetie? I think that's just for you. Can you scroll forward? Is it black? Can everybody see the camera? Can you guys see the camera? Is there anything wrong with the camera? I think that's just, I don't know why, sweetie. I think that's just on your end. Anyway, we thought there was something going on with the technical difficulties. I think we're good here. Go ahead and tell me, guys, if there's anything wrong on your end. I will check also. We might be having some technical difficulties. We'll see. But anyway, as I said, while I am checking this, give me 1 second here. As I said, we are going to be looking at the Bitcoin chart today because I really do believe that the market is going to go through some kind of major decision point here in just the next couple of days. And if Bitcoin does not manage to go ahead and break to the upside, then it is going to have a very difficult time continuing with its rally if it's not able to go through some kind of rally right now. It's not just going to be able to sit here and trade sideways for the next 3 weeks. It needs to go through some kind of uptrend if it is going to be able to continue that rally. That is at least my assumption. Excuse me, not my assumption, my assertion about where the market is right now, and I will show you exactly why that is the case here in a little while. About to read some green names and about to give a shout out to the person who was first, but I also first want to give a shout out to everybody who has been joining Club DeFi. We've had a lot of you guys joining Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis, and you guys seem to be really enjoying it and loving it. So thank you guys so much for joining Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis. We'll make sure to go ahead and give a shout out to some of our new members over there here in just a minute, towards the end of the show, actually. But we can see Crypto Manny Bear is in chat right now. Said, sup, Jebb? What's up, man? You were the first person in stream chat today, so welcome to the stream. We're very glad to have you, so thank you very, very much. Sean O'Brien in chat, Rocket Metal News. Alex Naibo, what's up, man? Long time no see. Chris Moe. Lays Nut, there you go. Daniel J, and we got Mike Lowry in chat. Crypto Manny Bear said, good morning, guys. I was first. That's right, you were first, so shout out to you. Arthur DeVrom said, crash time. Now, is it going to be crash time? That's kind of the topic of today's show. Crypto Mini Bike in chat as well said, good morning, everybody, and thank you, Crypto Mini Bike, for your membership and your continued support of the channel. Thank you so very much. We've got Michael Lowry, who is a mod and a member of the Jebb Knights, so thank you so much for your continued support in both of those ways. Justin Eubanks is a green name. Shout out to you and your continued support. Thank you so very much, guys. Helps to keep the lights on around here. Grand Roofing Incorporated in chat said, good morning, everybody. Good morning to you, Grand Roofing. Thank you so much. The Philosopher is in chat. I've always loved that name. That is just a hilarious and awesome name. Good morning, and may God bless everyone. Amen. Amen. Love it. CBD Suddy said, just re-upped on my green name too. Boom. Thank you, CBD Suddy. Welcome and, well, not welcome, but thank you for continuing to be a member of the Jebb Nights. Let's see, who else do we have in here? Crypto Ben Franklin. Good morning, everybody. Jebb got a haircut. Looking good, bud. Thank you very much. I definitely need one. Jebb's pure kindness for his sig other made me like him even more. Oh, for my significant other made me like him even more. I do love my wife. She is beautiful and amazing and awesome, and she is sitting right here, and I am so blessed to have her in studio with me every single day right now. As you guys know, we do have a baby coming, and that baby is probably going to be here in about a month and change. She's due April 20th, which is, by my estimation, 49 days from now? Would it be 49 days from now? So that sounds like a long time. It's really not in the grand scheme of things, so we're looking forward to it. Anyway, I've been rambling long enough. Let's go ahead and jump on into the stream and start over here on Coinmarketcap. As you guys know, I like to start on Coinmarketcap, give you guys a bit of a rundown and update for those of you who only check out the stream. We've got Bitcoin trading at $23,352 right now. It is down 1.47% over the last 24 hours and down 2.61% over the last 7 days. It has largely started to move sideways. You can see in the last 7-day price graphs right over here that that's pretty much what Bitcoin is doing. It is starting to trade sideways. Ethereum is starting to move sideways as well, because Ethereum's chart, as you can see over there, is starting to trade sideways, and that shows up on the 24-hour and the 7-day chart. On the 24 hours, the change over the last 24 hours, we are down 1.56%. On the 7 days, we are down 1.68%. Binance in a similar boat, although it is down even more on the week. It is down 1.84%, not 8%. I guess Binance might become poor if it ends up getting shut down by the SEC. 1.83% now, and down 3.87% over the last 7 days. Keep in mind, all of these cryptocurrencies are still up massively year to date. XRP down 1.3% and down 3.76% on the week, but up 10% year to date. It is actually still down over the last 90 days, though. Cardano, which is one of the ones we're going to be looking at today, is suffering quite a bit. It is a highly volatile cryptocurrency, seeing that it is so nascent and young in its life cycle. So it makes a lot of sense that it's as volatile as it is. Cryptos, I suppose, are very similar to humans in that they're very volatile the younger they are, and they get a little bit more stable the older and wiser and longer they live. Nevertheless, Cardano is currently down 3.19% over the last 24 hours, and it is down 9.36% over the last 7 days, up 40% year to date, though. Keep that in mind. Now, we're also keeping a close track on BUSD, because at some point in the next couple of weeks, Solana's going to flip BUSD. Binance has had over $6 billion worth of exodus take place from it on the market capitalization charts. You can see on the market cap over the last month, ever since we had that fateful news that Paxos would no longer be supporting the minting of new BUSD, we have seen that it has seen a continual decline in market capitalization. At this point, over just the last 24 hours or so, we have lost about $500 million in market capitalization. It's about to break below the $10 billion mark any day now, anytime now. Potentially even by tomorrow. Solana sitting at $8.2 billion, actually up slightly over the last hour, down slightly over the last 3 hours and over the last 24 hours is down 3.49%. Over the last 7 days, up 8.94%. Now, by the way, if this ever happens to you, take a look at what just occurred. If you'll notice, I got tripped up there for a second because Coinmarketcap reset on me. It changed the different numbers here from adding the 1 hour and taking off the 90-day and the year-to-date. Come right over here to customize. I'll go ahead and remove the 1 hour because I'm not too interested in that. I'll bring you the 90-day and the year-to-date, and then I'll just drag them right here by this little 3x3 hex. Right here and right here, and that'll restore Coinmarketcap to the way that it was, where I had these 4 different change over time tickers here for each of the different cryptocurrencies. Now, that is a very important thing to keep in mind, because we also want to look at Bitcoin, and we can start to translate what we're looking at here on the chart. But even before we get to it, I do just want to give a shout out to, I'm not going to say the last name out of people's privacy, but I want to give a shout out to one of our new members of Club Defi. His name is Carl. Carl, I don't know if you're watching here in chat, but thank you very much for joining Club DeFi. He's a member that joined it yesterday, so thank you very much to Carl. And if you guys want to be like Carl, make sure to check out the homepage over here on cryptojebb.com, where you can find out all kinds of information about what we do as a channel, all the research we do, and all the students that we've taught. And you can also find a link here to Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis, which will bring you right here. Scroll down, hit Principles of Technical Analysis. And you will see the course with 62 videos that is helping people all around the world to invest in their education in cryptocurrency technical analysis, so that you have a much better understanding of how to read these markets, how to make predictions on these markets, and how to then go forth and profit in these markets. That's why we built Club DeFi, and we've helped over 6,000 students learn technical analysis through the different courses that we've had active over the years. You could be the next one, so make sure to check us out with the link in the description box down below, or go to cryptojebb.com. All right, let's go ahead and jump on to Bitcoin over USD's chart on TradingView. As you will know, we've been watching the hourly chart like a hawk here for the last couple of days. Reason being, Bitcoin went through a major correction after rallying up to 25,250. We actually did break briefly above 25,236, but not far enough to really mean anything. From there, the bears took charge. We broke, bearish out of this ascending triangle pattern, which would normally be a continuation pattern. However, in this case, Bitcoin did not go with the statistics, and it did actually have a correction out of that market. From that point, we have now seen Bitcoin drop all the way down to $22,520. And whenever we started to go into a rally, we were hoping that Bitcoin would be able to go into a rally right here and then take off right back up to $25,000. That is not what occurred. And if you'll remember to this stream on Monday of this week, we looked at the market trying to break through 23,800, 838 specifically, and we realized that Bitcoin was probably going to have some difficulty. Now, the good news for any of the Bitcoin bulls out there is that Bitcoin has set 3 consecutive consistent higher lows. Higher highs, and 2 consecutive consistent higher lows. 3 higher highs, 2 higher lows, and potentially, depending on whether it gets confirmed or not, this could be a higher low as well. I wouldn't give this a confirmation just yet because it is technically still a lower low below this low that was set as a low on the 1st of March at 1400 hours. And we have only seen one green candlestick coming up from this hammer formation. For any of you guys in Principles of Technical Analysis, you will recognize from this video, hammer and shooting star formations, that this right here is a hammer formation, and you are going to want to make sure that you understand what a hammer formation is so that you can understand when we are seeing some kind of reversal, and that is one. But of course, we also want to see some more confirmation. We want to see some kind of bullish indicator coming in here on the hourly chart to give us some kind of exuberance that Bitcoin could be going back into a rally, and that's where the 50 and the 200 hourly moving averages come in. It is very possible that if we do go through even just a slight rally here, we could see the 200 moving average drop and the 50 moving average drop as well, but then actually drop slower and rally back above the 200. The tricky thing is here is that unless Bitcoin gets above this level right here, the 50 moving average, then Bitcoin is going to have a very hard time causing the 200 to drop faster than the 50, because the 50 is actually a more responsive, snappy indicator. So if Bitcoin doesn't go up and it just trades sideways here, these moving averages are likely going to move something like this, because this lower moving average is far more responsive than the top moving average, meaning that it moves more readily with the market because it is a shorter term moving average, taking more into account that recent price action. If, however, Bitcoin does break to the upside like at all and starts moving up just a little bit, and that trend starts moving to the downside, but moves to the downside slower as a result of an uptick in price action, you could see a theoretical golden cross here between the 50 and the 200. The tricky thing is, when you're looking at golden crosses, you can just look at a golden cross and say, boom, did a golden cross happen or not? This, of course, being the 50, this, of course, being the 200. That's a golden cross, but there's different kinds of golden crosses. If you have a golden cross like this, where this is the 50 and this is the 200 up here, then this is not much of a golden cross because they're crossing and they're both moving down. What you really want to see is you either want to see a golden cross like this, where the 50 rockets up through the 200, which is crashing for some reason, indicating bearish price action back here, and this 50 indicates bullish price action more recently, indicating that there is a reversal in trend. Or you want to see both of the moving averages, ideally both of the moving averages moving up, and then you see the 50, that doesn't say so, that is 50. You want to see the 50 moving average cross above the 200 moving average while they're both moving to the upside. So again, there's 3 kinds of inclination that you can go through. As far as golden crosses go, this is the least bullish, I should say, of the types of golden crosses. But if it does occur, then it would be a good sign, and it could confirm that we are undergoing a very short-term bottom. I'm talking about a bottom that could be in play just for today. That bottom could then, theoretically and hopefully, lead Bitcoin into a rally following this uptrending level of support right here. Just go ahead and turn that blue for support. We'll turn this red for resistance. And then we could see Bitcoin going through a small rally in accordance with that uptrend. The tricky thing is that uptrend is probably not going to last for long. And if you look at the market here, a lot of that uptrend is either almost in bearish RSI divergence, or depending on how you measure it, just straight up is in bearish RSI divergence. In fact, even looking up here at the tops, you can see we have lower highs on the tops of the market, and we have higher highs on the tops of the market. That is typically going to be what we call bearish RSI divergence. It's showing up on the tops, and it means that the market is starting to lose some of its momentum and is not able to keep up this rally. All in all, Bitcoin is not undergoing right now the kind of explosive rally that you would expect that would be the third leg to the upside. This being the first, this being the second, and then this being the third. We are not undergoing that kind of market movement. Right now, more of what we're undergoing is a market like this, where we're likely to see some kind of correction. And it is very possible that Bitcoin could go through another corrective wave down here to the uptrend or to 21.5 and then bounce and rally and then go through that that third massive explosive rally. That is in the cards. However, as we're going to talk about on the daily chart, there are some things that are not looking exactly peachy keen when it comes to Bitcoin being able to go through that big rally. We'll talk about those right now. Now, they kind of actually do start down on the 4-hourly chart, so let's start there. One of the big problems that we're looking at right now on Bitcoin is that Bitcoin has what we call a bear flag. For any of you guys in Principles of TA, over here, we talk about continuation. A continuation pattern is any kind of pattern that indicates that the market is going to continue in the direction that it's already going. One of the most obvious kinds of patterns that is in the form of continuation is a bear flag. This is a bear flag. Why? Well, let's go to a cleaner chart that might be a little bit easier to track with me here. What we're looking at right now is a slight and a moderate uptrend in Bitcoin. We're looking at a very shallow angle of attack. For any of you guys who want to actually measure the angle, you can measure the angle right here. This angle is only 19 degrees to the upside. On the other hand, if we were to measure the angle of this uptrend, you can see the angle is like 77 degrees. If you were to measure this angle over here, let's just measure it in this way, you'd see it's about 62. If you wanted to start the measurement right here and measure from right here, 74. However you want to measure it, the point is this uptrend is measuring at a much more shallow angle, depending on how exactly you measure it with the log. Let's turn log off so it's not moving around on us. You're not going through the major uptrend that you would be expecting to. We're going to the upside maybe 25%. That is akin to what we saw happen during the bear market beginning, especially back when we saw the Russians invading Ukraine last year. Go back to February 24th on your charts with me, and you'll see that there was a similar uptrend starting right around that time. The problem was that uptrend was a gigantic bear flag, and that bear flag had an uptrending angle of about 19 degrees. It was not steep enough to really get the market underway again, if you will. So what did we end up seeing happen? Well, we ended up seeing that the market, and it really does kind of come down to how you draw it, but what we ended up seeing happen was that the market went through a huge bear flag. As you can see right here, that bear flag ended up having a price target that came almost perfectly true. You can see the price target was right here. Let's just go on the log chart. You guys know that's my favorite kind of chart. You can see that price target for the bear flag, the continuation bear flag pattern, pointed us down here to $22,000. That's exactly where we went. And that seemed to be what's happening right now on the 4-hourly chart for Bitcoin. That is a very tricky place for this market to be, because if we do not get some bullishness here, then that means that we'll probably undergo the exact same predicament that we saw on that last market movement, and Bitcoin will probably end up going through a corrective movement with a price target, if we just draw out this bear flag right here, to $21,350. That is almost identical to the low that we saw here at February the 13th that we set as a low. Set that as support for right now. That gives us a price target right down here. Now, that price target lines up with the pre-FTX highs. If we went and backtested the pre-FTX highs, bounced and held them, I'm actually not totally against that, but that does set up two problems. Number one, if we fall all the way back down here and then we rally and we don't break $25,000, but we only get up to 24, then we've just created a massive head and shoulders pattern, and that head and shoulders pattern has a price target, which is far more bearish. That head and shoulders pattern gives us a price target of $17,500, which would be akin to our local low that we set over here at the beginning of the accumulation phase, June 19th. I hope you're tracking with me here. If we fall down to 21.5 or 21.3, I should say, we very likely will end up building a head and shoulders pattern that could drive us, on the price target anyway, back down to our initial bear market low, which would have been the absolute low if not for FTX collapsing on itself. I don't think we would have gone down here if not for the FTX FTX collapse because of what occurred in January with the CPI reports and the effective federal fund rate bullishness that we saw come out. On top of that, if we do break down to 21.3, the other reason why that is dire for this market is because of Lux Algo. If I show you Lux Algo and the moving averages, first and foremost, we would be breaking below the 50 daily moving average. Whenever you're in an uptrend, you typically don't break below the 50 daily moving average, at least not for long. You can see this moving average. It's this kind of this mustard versus the red versus the ketchup color over here. You see Bitcoin falls below it briefly, and then rallies back up above it. Normally holds above the 100. Same thing in bear markets. We typically rally above that 50 for a little while, and then we fall back below it. And that's how we define that we're in a bear market. In very strong bull markets, we don't fall below the 50 at all, as we saw in these instances over here. Falling below the 50 and going back and testing support on the 100 is not the end of the world, because the 100 moving average is sitting right here and just crossed above the 200. By the way, that is another form of a golden cross, and it is very bullish. Just keep that in mind in your back pocket, because remember, even though we're looking at bearish TA today, we do have a much longer term, much more bullish outlook on this chart that goes over the course of the next year. We're mainly talking about what the next month or two looks like right now, different time frames. Anyway, it would not be the end of the world for Bitcoin to break the 50 and come down here and test the 100. That could see us break and give us support. That could rally and see us find support on it around 21,300. But again, the problem with that is that if you turn off the moving averages here and you show Lux Algo, what does that do to the Lux Algo? Well, what happens is that if we continue trading sideways for just a few more days, we're probably going to start trying to bounce off of the EQ cloud. And if we come and bounce off of the EQ cloud, we're likely going to drop down to 22,808, which is that hugely important level that we've shown you multiple times over here on this chart. That level coming in from the 13th of September 2022. If we fall down below that level, I'll just clean up the chart here a little bit and get rid of the drawing for the inverse head and for the head and shoulders pattern. If we come down and test 22,808 and we fall below it, what ends up happening is very likely that we fall down and test the very top of the EQ cloud. We probably fall below that, and then we more than likely fall to the bottom side of the EQ cloud. I'm sorry, but normally when you fall on the bottom side of the EQ cloud, or the far side of the EQ cloud, excuse me, you're going to end up going through a major breakout in that direction. That's what we saw happening over here. We broke all the way through the EQ cloud. We were probably going to go into some kind of slightly sustained rally, and we probably would have moved something like this if not for the FTX collapse. Similar thing takes place whenever you enter a bull market or a bear market. When you break through the top of the EQ cloud, boom, off to the races. When you break through the bottom of the EQ cloud, if you're going down, boom, you're crashing. That's what we don't want to see happen. We want to see Bitcoin stay completely above the EQ cloud or fall into the EQ cloud but not fall all the way through it. And I suppose there is an argument to be made that we could see that occur, because this 100 moving average is following the bottom of the EQ cloud very confidently. And in history, just looking at the historicity of Bitcoin here, there is precedence, especially in the 2017 bull market, where Bitcoin would pull back and test the 100 moving average, go through a major corrective movement and rally, and from there it would bottom out and it would be able to continue going to the upside. That is very, very possible that that's what's happening on Bitcoin. And if we do see Bitcoin going through that kind of rally, that kind of correction, and testing the 100 moving average, that might just be healthy. But that would necessitate a correction back down to at least $20,000, if not even slightly lower. So that's where we have to be ready for the market pulling back to 20K or just slightly above it, testing the 100 moving average on the daily chart if we are not able to hold 22,808, or frankly, if we just keep trading sideways here for a few days and we don't get enough bullish momentum, that's probably going to give the bears all they need to start shorting the market, causing the market to go through a major correction. So in the short term, Bitcoin really needs to hold above 22,808 and needs to get out of this range, because the longer it stays in this range, the bigger of a bear flag it builds, and the more argument that you give to the bearish side of things that the market is likely going to go into a pretty large correction. On top of that, if Bitcoin does go through that large correction, that likely sends Lux Algo into a sell signal on the daily chart. We already have red trend catcher. It's already stepped down 3 times, once, twice, and then a third time recently. If we end up going through that sell signal on the daily chart, that is not a good thing. It's not the end of the world. Again, if you look back to the bear market, the bull market over here in 2017, we did see sell signals during the overall bull market. And if you'll remember, these sell signals were just absolutely phenomenal. Now, Lux Algo came out after, but these sell signals, they didn't design Lux Algo to articulate to this market. Lux Algo just is applied to this market, and they come out perfectly using the algorithm. You can see the strong sell signal and strong buy signals came in wonderfully there. Sell signals in the bull market are not the end of the world, but we do want to be very, 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 very careful with them. All right, so that is kind of the shorter term technical analysis that we're looking at right now. If Bitcoin does not manage to go through a pretty major rally, then it's probably going to go through a pretty major correction down to about $20,000. All right, give me just 1 second and we're going to go ahead and look at the chat. All right, let's see. Yo, Jebb with the fade. A little bit, yeah. Tell me what you think. Percentage risk of Binance going under. I don't think it's extremely high, but I think it's definitely more possible than it should be. It's kind of a cop-out answer, but that's kind of the best I can give you because I really don't know. Harry Potter is a new subscriber. Hello, Harry Potter. Welcome. You know, people have been telling me for about 10 years that I look like you. In fact, I remember when I was in college in Santa Fe, a guy walked up to me and he just skipped straight to the point. He didn't even say, Jebb, you look... He didn't know my name. I'd never talked to the guy my entire life. He walks up to me. He completely skipped, wow, man, you look like Harry Potter, and jumped straight to, man, you look like Daniel Radcliffe. And I was like, dude, I don't know where the knives and the guns that are coming out of my hand look like to you, but I don't look like Daniel Radcliffe. I was like, yeah, thanks, man. What? But yeah, I've gotten that a lot in my life. So shout out to you. I guess we're doppelgangers. Maybe we were separated at birth or something. We're about the same age, so who knows? Let's see. On Bitcoin, bear flags usually break to the downside. Yep, they do. That is the statistical likelihood there. That's indeed a bear flag in optima forma. Yes, that is the optimum form of a bear flag. DePetty Crypto said, bro, nice haircut. Thank you. I've been needing one. I really appreciate it. Sarah, happy anniversary. Boom, thank you. It is coming soon. Our anniversary is March 5th, which is Sunday. So I'm very excited about that. Sarah just looked over at me and smiled. Yeah, I know. It's going to be great. We're going to Tampa or Jacksonville or Tallahassee or St. Augustine. Don't want any of you guys trying to find us. Anyway, Crypto Ben Franklin is in chat, said, good morning, everybody. Jebb got a haircut. Looking good, bud. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. My B-Day is April 25th. So close to the babies. Yeah, that's awesome, man. All right, we'll look at chat here for just a second, and we'll keep moving. Cosmin B said, good morning, Jebb. Hashtag FinSov. Hello from Romania? You mean Romania? Romanian flag. Is that the Yes, that's the Romanian flag. Good morning to you from Romania. Sarah's family, they're not from Romania, but they went on Sarah's mother's family. When her mother was a child, they went on 2 mission trips to Romania just after the curtain fell, and then during the beginning of the 2000s. There's a lot of very interesting stories from over there. I believe that Romania is doing a lot better than it has in history, but I could be wrong on that. So shout out to all of our Romanian viewers. Thank you so much. All right. All righty. Jonathan, sorry, I got to get the phlegm up. Hushstetler said, nice haircut. Thank you. As far as to say it correctly. CW in chat. Good morning, CW. Silvadala said, yo, Jebb, I was driving back to GA and was in the Jayville area. Did you drive a Pathfinder with a Jebb-Fi on the license plate? You may never know. I don't own a Pathfinder. I don't own a Pathfinder. Some of my family owns a Pathfinder. But no, that would be a pretty cool vanity plate. But nope, that wasn't me. Was not me. Sorry. Good idea, though. I'll have to steal that. I can't get that exact plate, but maybe I could buy it from him. Like, hey, my name's Jebb, and I work in DeFi, so here you go. Here's $5. Silvadala said, or was that just a weird coincidence? That was just a weird coincidence. Good evening, Jebb. Watching all the way from the Philippines. Shout out to the Philippines. You guys have been in the news a lot lately with military bases. All right, continuing on here. We're going to talk about the market for Bitcoin, and we're also going to look a little bit at Ethereum and at Cardano, because I want to make sure you guys are up to speed on what's going on over there. But first, I just want to remind you guys, this bear flag on Bitcoin is not painting a bullish signal. It is painting quite the opposite. It is painting a bearish signal, and this is basically the definition of a bear flag. So just keep in mind that the sell signal on the 4-hourly chart And this bear flag and what Luxalgo is telling us, even out on the daily chart, does lead to the likelihood that Bitcoin will go through a correction down to between 20,000 and 21,500. My long-term predictions that are based on mostly weekly and monthly chart technical analysis still hold, and I do think that they are very strong. But just keep in mind that the daily chart might not be quite that bullish. And it kind of makes sense because $25,000 is a huge major level of resistance. 25,236, 25,236 is a major level of resistance, as we can see right here from our local top set on the 13th of August, 2022, I believe it was. And it's also the very top of the... it's the very bottom of the EQ cloud. The EQ cloud is moving to the downside very quickly right now on Luxalgo. Just keep in mind, though, one of the things to look for here is that Bitcoin does have a buy signal. It's not confirmed bullish yet, but as that EQ cloud continues to come down on the weekly chart and Bitcoin just stays above 20K, it's going to start moving through that EQ cloud. Eventually, if we move back up to 25 or 28.5, we'll get a confirmed buy signal. This buy signal on weekly chart is basically what we're looking for a confirmation of to confirm a bull market. The last two times we've seen confirmed buy signals on the weekly chart were the exact moments that we went into two phases of the bull market. You can see both of those phases right here. Going back in time, the last time before that you see a confirmed buy signal is right here. This led into a 250% rally. Then back over here, of course, we saw a couple of confirmed buy signals, this being one of them right there. We were only in a sell signal for a week. This buy signal was not confirmed because this sell signal was never confirmed. That buy signal was very strong. The last confirmed buy signal before that was over here on the weekly chart, and we saw that the market went through a 200% rally there. You look back to this confirmed buy signal. I'm showing you literally every single confirmed buy signal in the history of Luxalgo on Bitcoin's weekly chart. Huge, massive buy signal, went into a massive rally. Buy signal confirmed here, gigantic rally. Every single time in the history of Bitcoin that there has been a confirmed buy signal confirmed by Trendcatcher, you have seen an explosive market movement to the upside. And if Bitcoin is capable in the next 3 months, based on a multitude of technical and fundamental factors, of going through a rally, breaking to the upside far enough that this buy signal turns into a confirmed buy signal by Trendcatcher turning green, then we are going to be sitting pretty. Now, a couple of updates here I want to give you as well. I want to show you the Dixie and the SPY because, as you know, we have a theory here in this channel that Bitcoin is inversely correlated to the Dixie and positively correlated to the SPY. Right now, the Dixie is going through a rally, but it is also going through a small little corrective movement in that rally. The SPY is basically in the exact opposite of Bitcoin right now. It's in an overall uptrend on the 4-hour. It's in an overall uptrend, but it's in a downtrending bull flag. If you overlay BTC USD on this market, you can see that Bitcoin is doing virtually the exact same thing, except it's in the inverse. Whenever you see the market going up here on the Dixie, Bitcoin's going down. As the Dixie then goes into a bearish downtrend, which is a bull flag, Bitcoin's going into an uptrend, which is a bear flag. At some point, the Dixie is likely to break bullish here and continue to the upside based on a just huge number of macroeconomic factors and having to do with the way the balance sheet is being rolled off and the way that the fund rate is, and the inflation that's about to come to the US dollar, and the inflation that's about to come to the labor market in the United States is about to go through a rally here on the Dixie. That's going to cause Bitcoin to more than likely do the exact same thing, but in the inverse and go through a correction. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in the back of your mind. The SPY right now is taking a bit of a breather, but when it does continue its march higher, that's going to be bearish for Bitcoin and could be a big driver of a Bitcoin correction. Now, moving right along here to the SPY, I also want to show you the SPY on the 4-hourly chart, because if you'll remember, Bitcoin and the SPY are not negatively, but positively correlated. If we look at Bitcoin over the SPY here, Bitcoin has generally been in a rally while the SPY has been. The SPY went through a big rally. If you don't know, the SPY, the SPY, is short for the SPDR S&P 500 ETF Trust. That is the indice that basically comprises the entire United States stock market. It shows about $25 trillion worth of market capitalization. One of the most important charts in all of economics. This market is highly positively correlated to Bitcoin, which makes sense because of its significance to the global economy and its significance to the investors that are buying Bitcoin. If somebody's buying Bitcoin, they probably also have a stock portfolio. That's just the way it works. So however they think in the stock market, they probably think similarly in crypto. But they're probably even more bearish about crypto than they are about the stock market, because the stock market's older and more proven in theory anyway. So when the SPY started going through a tightening cycle here, so did Bitcoin. As the SPY started to drop, so too did Bitcoin. You can see that Bitcoin has actually been outperforming the SPY to some degree, but the problem is the SPY's broken through in just the last couple of days an uptrend, and now it's testing a downtrending level of support. This downtrending level of support shows up right here, and if we are not able to break through this downtrend, if we're not able to hold above this downtrending level of support, then what you're basically seeing is a continuation of the overall primary downtrend that's been in effect since before the war in Ukraine began. You can see I have the 1-year anniversary and the actual day the war was declared right here. So this is a little over a year of price action on the 4-hourly chart for the SPY. Bitcoin has been in a gradual downtrend ever since the rate market started tightening, ever since the Fed started rolling off the treasuries and mortgage-backed securities on their balance sheet, and ever since the interest rates have been this high, and ever since the war in Ukraine began. I believe I repeated myself there once, but nevertheless, those three things have been big impactors of the stock market. Now, give me 1 second. I want to show you the Fed balance sheet and show you the trend and kind of bring it into proportion with the cryptocurrency, with the SPY. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to have to find the chart because it is a little bit elusive. Oh, it just wasn't loading. Here we go. I have the chart right here. If you take a look here at the credit and liquidity programs in the balance sheet over here on the federalreserve.gov. This is federalreserve.gov. You can see the full URL right here if you want to type all that in. If you want to find this, all I did was type in Fed balance sheet. It's the first thing that comes up. It's the Federal Reserve's website. You can see the exorbitant amount of money printing that took place in the span of like a month here at the beginning of the pandemic. This is when Bitcoin went through a huge rally because $3 trillion was just injected into the economy like a horse tranquilizer into a squirrel, and the market went absolutely crazy. From there, we saw that money printing pretty much plateau and stop right here in May of 2022. By the time you get to, by the time you look back and you look at right around January of 2022, the writing was on the wall and the announcements had been made that the printing and the purchasing of mortgage-backed securities and of treasuries was going to stop, slow down, and reverse. That, when those announcements were made in December of 2021, January of 2022, that's when this started. You can see that just about as soon as the Fed's balance sheet started to plateau, the market started going through a major correction. I wonder if I can bring up the Fed balance sheet here. I don't know if there's a chart for that. Is there a chart for that? Does anybody know if there's a chart for the Fed's balance sheet on here? I'm not exactly sure. I've never looked at it before, but I'd like to know. Federal Reserve balance. I don't know if TradingView has that. Let's see. This might be it right here. Let's see. I've never looked at this market before, if it is a thing. USC BBS. I'm going to go to that chart. USC BBS. Is that it? USC BBS. U.S. Central Bank Holding. Aha, they do have it. It is a chart. Look at this. See, this is the same chart. This is the chart I was talking about. So you can see the chart right here. It's on TradingView. I had no idea this was on TradingView. That's great. Okay. So then this makes my job a lot easier to explain what I'm saying. Here's the SPY. Do you see what I'm talking about? The SPY, I know we're dealing with line charts. We normally don't deal with line charts, but I just want to kind of show you why the SPY's been going down. You can see all of this money printing that took place. It was look at the correlation here between the balance sheet and the market. Boom. Printed $1 trillion back during the 2008 financial crisis. Oh, look. Stock market bottomed. Started going through a rally. Then guess what happens? We start to plateau the printing. Aha! Queen's going to be so excited in chat. Queen keeps talking about how the debt market drives the stock market. You're right. Look at the correlation. You look at the balance sheet was plateaued. Ooh, stock market had trouble during the 2015s. 2015, 2016, 2017. Then we started going into a rally because the market had adjusted to having a lower liquidity. But notice how the market not having that increase in liquidity, it took 2 years for the market to adjust to the liquidity stop, to the liquidity rise ending. Take note of that. That's very important. We'll talk about that in a second. Took a year or two for the market to adjust to the liquidity, the increase in liquidity stopping and slowing and coming to an end. From that point in time, we saw the market started having trouble again. When the balance sheet started rolling off assets on its balance sheet here towards 2018, 2019, the market started going into some tumult here as well. Then the pandemic hit. Boom, flash crash. Boom, we printed $3 trillion. boom, the rally goes through it. The market goes through a huge rally, and we're just in this gigantic rally for as long as the stock market is having money pumped into it. But then the writing's on the wall that printing is coming to an end. And you can see the peak here happened in March of 2022, right when the war in Ukraine had just begun a month earlier. This was already a planned peak. They never planned to go above 9 trillion as far as I'm aware. But when they did actually end the money printing, we knew about it a few months earlier. People could tell. It was announced. People knew. And so the market started going through a major correction in anticipation of two things. Number one, it was becoming pretty obvious that the Russians were going to declare war on Ukraine, which was going to throw geopolitics and globalization into a tailspin. Number two, you also had the demographic crisis of the century beginning the world over as the boomers aged into mass retirement in the United States and around the rest of the developed world. And three, the stock market realized that this market was coming to a climax and was coming to a peak. While the Fed is tapering off the balance sheet, which will take another 3 years because they plan to have the balance sheet, and this is all very relevant to crypto. I'm going to tie it back in a second. They plan to taper off all of this off of the balance sheet by 2026. That means one of the quickest decreases in the balance sheet in the history of this entire market must take place, and it must take place in the span of just 3 short years. That is going to drive turmoil in the stock market, and you are going to have a very hard time seeing all-time highs on the SPY for the next 3 years, which means a couple of things. Number one, if you have an income, SPY is a great purchase because it is going to go to the upside again in eventuality. But number two, it's very difficult for all of those boomers that are aging into retirement. If you have a lot of boomers aging into retirement and all of a sudden their portfolio was worth 20% more 2 years ago when they were planning for retirement, now they're moving into retirement, then they're one, going to have to be much more reliant on Social Security. Two, they're going to have less money to reinvest into the market, which they're taking out of the stock market, which means that they're lowering the overall value of the stock market in the first place because they're aging into retirement, taking money out of that market. And that is going to cause a huge crunch in liquidity and in GDP in the United States. It might not be noticeable. I'm not saying GDP is going to go down because of that, but it is likely going to have an adverse effect on the price action of the market. And of course, the thing that we're all here to talk about is the impact on Bitcoin. If you remember, Bitcoin has a heavy correlation with the stock market. We have never seen Bitcoin go through a major bull market during a major bear market in the stock market. We've never seen it. We have seen what happens when Bitcoin is moving in relation to these different charts. For example, here we can see how, I'll just go ahead and clean this chart here, which is always painful because there's a lot of drawings there. But anyway, you can see here on the entire history of Bitcoin, pretty much the entire history of Bitcoin, it's enough. Bitcoin does pretty well when there's no money printing, when there's no increase in mortgage-backed securities and treasuries purchases by the Fed. Then when they started tapering these rates, the stock market went through trouble and so did Bitcoin. You can see the correlation here. Tell me if you'd like some more videos on stuff like this, because this is very, very obvious, the driver of crypto. You can see that when they started going through with some more printing again in anticipation of higher inflation, and then the pandemic began, then that right there is when the market just went boom. Massive, massive, massive upshot. This time frame right here, it makes a lot of sense that Bitcoin was doing well. Why? Because the stock market was making new all-time highs in this little area right here. Bear market, stock market was trading sideways, debt market's going down, making things harder for liquidity to be found to purchase into crypto. At this point, market's going down, stock market's going up, debt is being increased. This is a prime time to be investing in crypto. And then, of course, the pandemic hit and we had a huge amount of money printing, and then it was 5 times the prime time to invest in crypto. Now what we're seeing is something similar to what we saw during the last bear market. And that is that the money supply is being reduced, or at least the balance sheet, I should say, is being reduced in a similar way to what we saw happen during 2018. And the stock market is making lower lows and is going through a correction in a bear market. Those correlative factors in correlation as well with the Dixie, of course, which is a little bit hard to see here, but whenever the Dixie's going up, Bitcoin's in a bear market, you can see the drivers of Bitcoin's market. A lot of people want to think that the entire thing that drives Bitcoin's market are news events inside of crypto. It's not really. FTX was not a major driver of the market, believe it or not. Luna was not a major driver of the market. Both of those events were blips on the radar that led Bitcoin in a direction that they were probably already going to go and had an impact for about 2 months. Luna Yeah, we had a giant correction, giant crash, I should say, after Luna. That was probably going to happen anyway. Might have happened 3 months later, but it was probably going to happen anyway. FTX, yes, we went through a big crash. We dropped down to 15.5. We might not have ever dropped down that low if FTX had not blown up. But now we've pretty much erased any of the bearishness that FTX brought in, other than there being a slight negative debuff on the price action of crypto as a result of there being greater skepticism among the average retail investor and among the institutions and among the government. So those things are true. But the real drivers of crypto are the debt market, the stock market, the dollar market, and the halving cycles on Bitcoin. Those are the 4 biggest drivers of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And by the way, every single one of them predicts something a little bit different right now. The stock market predicts that Bitcoin is going to have a hard time over the next 3 years. The debt market predicts that Bitcoin is going to have a hard time over the next 3 years. But the halving cycle almost demands that Bitcoin is going to go into a giant bull market over the next 3 years. And the Dixie, which will probably plateau around 110 in the next 6 to 8 months, and then probably go through a correction, also tells me that in a year, we'll probably see quite a lot of bullishness. So there's varying degrees of confidence right now. The question comes down to one, and it really comes down to mainly this: how committed is the Fed to reducing the balance sheet size? Are they actually going to go through with completely eliminating every single dollar on the balance sheet, get rid of all their mortgage-backed securities and all their treasuries over the next 3 years? Are they going to be able to do that when there's already rampant inflation from the deindustrialization of the Chinese state and the onshoring of the manufacturing plant right back into the United States, and the boomers aging into retirement, all of which are going to drive huge capital inflation? Which are going to drive huge increases in the cost of capital and huge inflation. Are they going to be able to be committed to that and lead us into a bigger recession? That's kind of the question that this all rides on. But good news is, long-term outlook for Bitcoin is very bullish. And also kind of the good news is, a lot of what Bitcoin's struggling with right now, it can't really help, and it won't be this way forever. So when the rest of the global economy starts to catch back up and really starts to reorient itself, and we find ourselves in a new norm, because right now we're in this turbulent transition period. When we find ourselves in that new norm, then we're going to find a lot more bullishness for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a little kid, and it thrives in stability, and we need some stability in the global economy right now for Bitcoin to really thrive. And my friends, it just isn't there. It could take years for that to come back, but that also gives us years to learn about technical analysis, learn about markets, learn about the economics and the factors such as that I'm talking about right now, and to prepare our investment portfolios for blast off, because I do think this is going to be a spectacular decade for crypto, but it is going to be a harder decade than the last one for all the reasons that I've talked about in this stream and others. Let's go ahead and jump on over to Ethereum, though, because Ethereum, of course, is driven largely by Bitcoin, and there's a few things here on Ethereum that I want to bring to your attention. We're not going to do a ton of TA on it right now, but one of the things I want to bring to your attention is this. Ethereum is in a giant symmetrical bear pennant. That bear pennant, in theory, gives us a price target of $429. I don't think that's going to happen, by the way. But it is very possible that if Ethereum is not able to break above some more resistance levels in just the next couple of weeks, which is probably the case as Bitcoin is struggling, then Ethereum could fall all the way back down to this uptrending level of support. And if it falls down to this uptrending level of support, depending on how you draw it, let's actually draw it by the candlesticks and draw it with some actual concrete theory. If we fall back down to this uptrending level of support around $1,200, that's going to mean a couple of things. Number one, we would be back testing the previous all-time high, which is, of course, a little bit higher than that, and we'd be falling below that previous all-time high. That's not always the most fun thing, because that's like Bitcoin falling below $20,000. On top of that, if we look at LuxAlgo here, that would basically eliminate any chance that LuxAlgo had of sending us into a weekly chart buy signal on Ethereum for quite some time. Even on the daily chart, that would necessitate us going through a big correction, having a confirmed sell signal, falling through the EQ cloud, and then going into a confirmed downtrend with a sell signal that would push us back down to the bottom reversal zone, from which hopefully we would bounce and rally. But it would be a pretty major correction on Ethereum, and that major correction could be a $400 drop to the downside, which would be negative 25%. So just keep your eye out for that. If Bitcoin has trouble, as I'm forecasting it will, then Ethereum likely will too. On Cardano, similar bet. Cardano has actually, of the three, been the first to enter a confirmed downtrend with a strong sell signal right here and trend catcher red. You can see we also broke even before the trend catcher, even before the strong sell signal came in, we broke to the downside into the EQ cloud. And this is kind of what I'm warning about happening on Bitcoin. You break into the EQ cloud a lot, just a little bit, you're normally going to get sucked all the way to the other side of it. At this point, I think it very likely that Cardano goes to at least 33 cents, which is at 34.7 right now. probably to 33 cents, and then it will probably come down and test this level at 32.5 cents as well, which is a pretty significant level for a few reasons. Number one, it's the level that we saw as support back here on the 22nd of October. And number two, since that is the case, if we drop down and bounce around the 32 cent region, we actually form a gigantic, little bit of an ugly, but a gigantic inverse head and shoulders pattern, which, if played out, could drive Cardano back to 65 cents. And if you look on the history of Cardano, let's just look around for what 65 cents could mean, just so you guys can see. 65 cents would line up pretty well with this top right here and this bottom right here, which I can tell you right now, if we bring up VRVP, I have not pre-analyzed this, but I guarantee you there's going to be a gap right there. Yep, you can see it right there, which would basically lead us all the way through the bulk of this VRVP, which could give us a gateway back to $1 if Bitcoin does go through that pretty big bull market, beginning, as I talked about, towards the later half of this year. If Bitcoin is able to go through a big correction now and then go into a big bull market, back up towards 25.5 to $28,500, even up above 30 during the third and fourth quarter of this year, then that massive inverse head and shoulders pattern that we could be about to play out could be the thing that drives Cardano back to the upside and starts approaching $1 once more. I would love to see Cardano go back to $1, but I'd also love to see it down here around 32 cents so we can load up our bags with some more. Boom. Tell me in the comments section what you think about all that analysis. I'm going to go ahead and read the chat because I'm really, really appreciating all of you 600 people for tuning in. Thank you very, very much. Let's make sure we read our members chat and our super chat because we got a couple of them here. Shadrach Frost, who has been a member for 18 months. Whew. That's wild. Let's just think for a second how awesome that is. You've been a member for 18 months straight. Really appreciate it. Hashtag buy the dip, folks. Show Jebb love and support by smashing the like button. Philippians 2:3 is the verse of the day. God bless you all. Let's go ahead and read Philippians 2:3 for everyone here. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem other better than themselves. That, my friends, is one of the ways that you ensure not to get the speck out of your friend's eye before getting the log out of your own. It also says in Philippians 4:6, be careful for nothing, but in everything through prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God, and the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus our Lord. Those are a couple of good verses from Philippians that could help carry you through the day. We've got Corey Moe in chat, donated $10. Thank you so much, Corey. Said awesome information. Thank you. Thank you so much. Summarize what you just said, please. I only got the last few minutes. Okay, I'll try and do it quickly. The debt market, which is largely driven, let's say the balance sheet, which is driven by the Fed's purchasing of treasuries and mortgage-backed securities, is starting to be rolled off. That has led to a major bear market in the stock market, along with the war in Ukraine and along with the tightening interest rates. All of those things have caused the stock market to go to the downside while also causing the Dixie to go to the upside. Dixie and the stock market are correlated to Bitcoin. Stock market goes down, so does Bitcoin. Dixie goes up, Bitcoin goes down. Bitcoin is getting the worst of both worlds right now, along with the geopolitical instability of having a global conflict and the deindustrialization of China and the demographic collapse of China and the West and the end of globalization as we know it in free trade. By free trade, I mean free trade without piracy. All of those factors are leading to a very tumultuous decade and a transition period from globalization 1.0, which you can say started in 1945, really picked up steam 1992 when the Eastern Bloc countries came online, and then probably peaked around 2018, 2019, right before the pandemic began. This transitionary phase is going to be very hard on Bitcoin, meaning that this bull market is not going to look like any other bull market in the history of Bitcoin. It is going to be a much harder bull market for Bitcoin, and you probably won't see Bitcoin reaching its full expectation. People might expect Bitcoin to hit $100,000 by the end of next year. It might hit 80. But it probably will hit new all-time highs, and I think it'll do very well. As far as Ethereum, if Ethereum cannot get its act together and break through resistance at, what would it be, about 1650? I think it is, around 1650 to 1700. It's probably going to drop down to about 1200, which would be below its previous all-time high, which wouldn't be the best. And Cardano could very well drop another 2 to 3 cents down to 32.5 cents, instigating an inverse head and shoulders pattern that, following the bull market that's coming in a year, could lead Cardano back to $1. Which would also at that same time probably lead Ethereum and Bitcoin into a rally. So everything would probably be going together. There you go. The Anaximander said no coffee anymore. That's right. I don't drink coffee anymore. I stopped drinking coffee. I'm actually thinking about getting some coffee today. I don't have coffee anymore. I have coffee maybe once every 2 weeks. But I don't know. I'm just feeling like some coffee. I'm thinking I might get some. All right. So confused. Be surprised, not prepared. I am sorry you're confused. I don't mean for you to be confused. Essentially, the way that the United States has run the market, essentially the way that the Fed is manipulating things like the interest rate and the balance sheet, and the fact that Russia declared war on Ukraine has led to a lot of very bearish geopolitical and macro factors. It's called the stock market to go into a downtrend. The stock market going into a downtrend has very much coincided with the bear market timeline as predicted by the halving cycles in Bitcoin, and that has led Bitcoin into a bear market, but the majority of that is over, and Bitcoin is likely going to go into a new uptrend and new bull market in the next year, but not necessarily in the next 2 months. Bitcoin could have a very difficult 2 months, but in the next year, I think it will be doing pretty well. All right. I got Bitcoin and Ethereum. Who gives up anything what you say? There you go. I read earlier that Coinbase is delisting BUSD. Do we know something about this? Is it true? I have heard that that was taking place. I can't verify the veracity of that, but I believe that is probably taking place. Romania, sorry, much better than 2000s. Unfortunately, the war is at our gates. Yes, the war is at your gates, and there are two, just for specifically for you, I'll give you a little bit of my outlook on that. Cosmin B. And forgive me for speaking on a nation that is not mine, and you can definitely correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. I hope I won't be. Romania is sitting at a very important geopolitical corridor. Just go to Google Maps. I'll show this on Google Maps. Romania is sitting at a very important geopolitical corridor from which different kings and empires have marched armies through for a very, very long time. Let me go to satellite here. It rests, excuse me, but as you can see here, what is that mountain range? I'm forgetting the mountain range name in Romania. It's like the Carpathians? Not the Carpathian. It is the Carpathian mountain range. The Carpathian mountain range right here, as you can see, runs straight through Romania. This little stretch of land, I just reached over for my trend line indicator as if we were there. This little stretch of land right here is one of the most important geopolitical and strategic access points in all of Europe. And it sits right here on the way to Bucharest, which is the capital of Romania. You can even see the palace right here. This is the largest building in the world, by the way. You can see this thing from space. This gateway right here is what Russia wants. And to get there, they have to go through Ukraine and Moldova, which they've been keeping unstable for the last 15, 20 years. If they conquer all of Ukraine and Moldova, this is where Russia wants to go because they want to post 500,000 men right there to defend themselves from NATO. The problem is Romania is a member state of NATO and of the European Union. The other thing that Russia wants to do is they want to push straight to halfway through Poland. And if you think I'm crazy, you can go and ask Putin, who is the current president, dictator of Russia. And you can also go ask former president, dictator, and probably future president, dictator of Russia, Medvedev, who says that Russia needs to push halfway through Poland. Why halfway through Poland? Well, you can see the same Carpathian mountain range right here. It's down here in Slovakia and the Czech Republic. To push halfway through Poland would reincorporate this, the Kaliningrad exclave here to mainland Russia, while also allowing them to conquer Belarus and then shut down NATO from being able to push a land war towards Moscow. This is what the Soviets did in the Second World War when they aligned with Germany and they cut Poland in half. That's why Russia wanted that land at the same time, because this is nothing but rolling plains. You can run tanks through here like nothing. People have been running horses through here for the last 2,000 years. To go and conquer Warsaw and everything 100 miles past it all the way up to Lodz, going up to Gdansk on the North Sea, by conquering all the way from Gdansk to Lodz to Krakow, and then also through conquering all the way to Bucharest, they would be able to close off 2 choke points here and defend themselves much more powerfully, strategically, so that they'd be able to fight off NATO. They'd be able to defend against NATO. The tricky thing is, to do so, you have to declare war on Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, and Romania, which are all 5 NATO member states, and they are all part of the, what is it, the B9, is it? The G9? I forget. It's the border 9. It's the 9 states that are closest to Moscow in NATO. You'd have to take out all 5 of them. You'd have to conquer Ukraine first and Moldova and incorporate Belarus, which wouldn't be that hard because Lukashenko, the dictator of Belarus, is best buds with Putin, and they'd probably incorporate if Putin demanded it. Nevertheless, that's what Moscow wants to do, and it all starts with Ukraine. They know that if they take Ukraine, every single one of these other nations is much weaker, and Ukraine is on the road to both of these choke points. Conquering Romania is a big part of that. So if Russia wins, They're coming from Moldova and Romania and Poland. And the only thing that would stop them from that would be nothing in Moldova because they're not a NATO member. But Poland and Romania would be the nuclear arsenal and the military might of NATO and the geopolitical and economic strength of NATO. On top of that, or on the other hand, I should say, if Russia loses in Ukraine, which does seem highly possible but not guaranteed, Romania would likely end up petitioning for Moldova, or not necessarily Romania, but Moldova would probably petition to join NATO. NATO would probably accept them if Ukraine is secured. Moldova and Romania are highly similar demographically and culturally, and you could very easily see a lot of trade between them and potentially even a unification of those two nations under NATO and into the EU. So, as far as someone was talking about Romania in chat, hopefully I didn't butcher your history or your geography, Cosmin, but you can tell me if I got any of that wrong. Or if I got any of that right, maybe. All right. What do you think about dollar cost averaging sooner than later so that we don't get taxed short-term capital gains when we decide to sell? The thing, I'm going to avoid that question, and the main reason is because I'm not a tax professional and I don't want to weigh in on that. There's plenty of things I will weigh in on, but there's actually legal implications for weighing in on taxes. Don't really want to go there and get something wrong, so I would definitely encourage you to talk to a certified CPA. Okay. Bugatti Veyron or Chiron? What you taking? Let's see. I am taking my... if I were to ever buy a fancy car, it would probably be a Corvette C8 in rapid blue with a Z51 performance package in the wing. But I don't foresee myself spending that kind of money on a car anytime soon because I'd much rather spend it on the financial sovereignty of my family. NATO USA is the attacker, not Russia. There is some truth to that. NATO has been pushing further in the direction of the East for a long time, but at the same time, the United States is not the one that declared the war. Russia did. So I understand that. I'm starting to wish I had a fallout shelter, like in Blast from the Past. Bugatti Putin, is that a prototype? No. Czars from a long time ago did very, very similar military strategies for the same reason. Poland was the one point yeeted out of existence. A lot of those countries have been part of this tug of war. Yeah, Poland and Romania, unfortunately, are on the marching path to conquest from many different empires that have existed in the history of the world, and especially, of course, of Europe. All right, guys. Well, that is going to have to wrap it out for today's stream. Before I go, I do just want to let you guys know about Club DeFi. Everything I just talked about today in this stream on the technical analysis front, you can learn about in Club DeFi's principles of technical analysis so that you can go and be an expert trader and investor. And the reason that you want to be interested in Club DeFi is because to understand how this market works is the gate and key to being successful in this market. If you don't understand the way the technical analysis works, if you don't understand the way that the price action is moving and why, and if you can't make those predictions and draw the conclusions to be able to analyze this market on your own, whatever it be, whether it be Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, XRP, whatever, Dogecoin, you need to be able to understand the price action and the technicals to be able to make the most of the cryptocurrency market that you are in and really profit the most when the bull market comes, and even right now, because you can profit a lot during a bear market and sideways accumulation. I highly encourage you to go to Club DeFi's website and sign up for Principles of Technical Analysis today. Use the link in the description box down below. It'll take you to cryptojebb.com. You can see our website. Come right down here, click Club DeFi Principles of Technical Analysis. The other two courses will be coming soon. And you can come down here and look at all the different videos. There are 62 videos here covering everything from our candlestick formations to how to read support and resistance, to continuation and reversal patterns, to math psychology, one of my favorite videos in the entire course. We also talk about something that I call the IVG, the intrinsic value gap. What is Bitcoin really worth? What is Bitcoin trading at? What's the gap there? We talk about that, and we talk about all of the different things that you need to bring all of those concepts together so that you can actually succeed in technical analysis. We also go over some of the software like TradingView and Coinmarketcap and some of the different softwares that you're going to use in your technical analysis journey. So make sure you check out the link in the description box down below. Go to cryptojebb.com, sign up for Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis, and special announcement for any of you guys that were in CT2A or in let's see, Club DeFi's beta, when it was a subscription model, we were testing out the subscription model. We didn't like it, so we threw it out. We went back to the lifetime model that over 5,000 of you guys loved with CT2A. Make sure that you shoot us an email and we'll give you a discount. If you're in CT2A, you get 25% off. If you were in Club DeFi's beta, you will get 100% off of however much you put into the beta. So if you put $90 into the beta, you get $90 off. If you were in both, you will get whichever coupon code is greater. So we look forward to your emails, and we thank you for everybody who has already joined. There's been a flood of people coming into Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis, and you could be the next one if you want to learn how to succeed in crypto markets. By the way, I didn't even mention that it comes with the Discord server and with office hours at 8:30 p.m. every single Monday. So make sure you stay tuned because we're having a lot of fun over there, and I would love for you to be a part of it. Let's go ahead and read chat for a second, and then we're going to wrap it out. NATO did actually start this by forcing Ukraine to apply for NATO. That's a hotly debated topic. It really comes down to whether you believe Ukraine was actually forced to apply for NATO. Pitten said, love the haircut, Jebb. Thank you. Sapanta. Sapanta? Tell me, I'm sorry. I don't mean to butcher your name. Said, I quite like today's show. Thank you, Jebb. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jebb. May God bless. Jesus walks. Amen. Eric Ward said, dude, I really appreciate your honesty is rare in this industry. I pray that you stay informed and involved in crypto forever. Love, peace, and happiness. Thank you so much. That's our goal here. Get that CA in Elkhart Lake Blue. I prefer the Rapid Blue, but Elkhart Lake Blue looks pretty good also. Jebb is spitting alpha this morning. Not sure what that means, but thank you. Shannon Sharp said, adios, everybody. Have a good day. Hasta luego. Thank you. And muchas gracias for tuning in. Let's see. All right. Like I said, that's going to wrap it out for today's video. Before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.